Welcome, Harambee Radio family, to Live in the Spirit with Wallace the Motivator Durham, also known as Brother Wally, on a Business Monday, and bringing you to the highest level of consciousness on the most inspiring internet talk radio in the land. We welcome all of you, 100 cities and 30-plus countries, to www.haramberadio.com. And yes, it is the place to be, hanging out with me, Brother Wally. So as we go from A to Z eternally, let's make sure that you and me connect with the connectivity. So let's ensure and make sure that you tell your family, tell your friends, tell those that you love. We're taking it to another level. Oh, yes, indeed. And bringing in the vibe with me this evening, the great Mr. Roy Ayers from his Everybody Loves the Sunshine CD. Yes, we're talking about the third eye, and we're going to be going to those levels in your mind that open up just that. So sit back for the hour of power, my family, and let's take it there. I got a special set of brothers tonight that I want to bring to the airways because, see, first I want to say this. Big shout-outs to my daughter, Kashana Imani Durham, who brought the event such as this to me because of her meeting up with one of these brothers several weeks back. And as you know, being a chip off the old block, she's doing her thing out in the community. And I want to say, keep doing your thing, my daughter. She's assisting me in getting my book promoted and some copyright issues taken care of. So, again, my baby girl, you're doing your thing. But let me say this. She introduced me by way of a telephone number to one of these brothers and said it would be quite interesting if I can get him on my show. Well, let me say this. I'd spoken to one of the brothers, then I spoke to the other one, and I'm going to introduce to you to the airways what they do and why they're on the Harambee Radio and Television Network tonight. Well, first and foremost, Jamil Garrett, the older brother of the two. He's the creator of Let's Talk Shit. Yes, that's S.H.I.T, spiritually high intellectual thoughts. You did know I was going to go there, family. The webcast was created in order to reach the masses underinterested in the usual medium of right knowledge. Now, through intellectual conversations, they dissect everyday topics and meta-spiritual issues with an analytical third eye. Now you know the reason I played that. Now, they always say, join us in talking shit. Again, that's spiritually high intellectual thoughts as we enter a new realm of thoughts. And as well, his younger brother, Dwayne, also the brother who I first met, is also going to come on the line. I want you, family, to consider these brothers co-hosts of tonight's show on Live in the Spirit. So first to the airways, I want to say to the older brother, Jamil Garrett, how you doing, my brother?
I'm all right. I'm doing all right. How about you?
I'm doing excellent, brother. I want to thank you for taking a leadership role and ensuring that the total message gets out, because your younger brother definitely had the spirit to go full blast, and he said, I want to give homage to my older brother, and he's on the line as well. How you doing, Brother Dwayne?
Peace, Brother Wally. How you doing? I'm fine.
I'm doing excellent, my brother. I want to thank both of you for joining in the conquest of opening up not only the third eye, getting into a little bit of the metaphysics and letting people know why not only as a family have you chosen to take this on, but this is something the Harambee Radio and Television family does often and all the time. So when we get other brothers and pioneers, not only of their own spirit, but their own talk shows and doing it, it's a beautiful blend. So why don't we start with you, Jamil?
So we decided, it would be a good idea to kind of give a different view of things, give a view from brothers at 21 through 40, how we see the world. And that's pretty much what it is an outlet for not just brothers, women can listen to. It's designed for everybody. But if you're not ready for it, it's ready for you, and
That's very interesting. And Brother Dwayne, you had told me that this was passed down to you from Brother Jamil. And I think you was probably 12 or 13 when that first happened. What was that experience like, brother, when he first imparted upon you the knowledge of self and how to go ahead and increase your mental awareness?
Well, yeah, around 12 or 13 is when I came, honestly, is when I came across Dr. Malachi York, when Jamil gave me the first book on Malachi York.
Yes.
The process, though, was started. The pivotal, I feel the pivotal event in my life was when, in about 6th grade, I stole 2 or 3 books from the library. My brother still has one of them. One of them was,
wow, you're going to get me in trouble with you, huh?
Yeah, Chariots of the Gods was one of them. Not From This World was another one. And it basically just dealt with ancient archaeology. Different things from around the world that in my young mind sparked a connection right there. I saw, the pharaohs in Egypt had blue and green skin. I saw the people over in India had blue and green skin. Started the whole thing for me around 11, 12. And my brother gave me a tablet from Dr. York.
Well, let me say this, brother. First and foremost, and this is how, when Brother Jamil and I were talking earlier, there are no coincidences. I never knew that part of your story, and I'm glad we're developing this. When I became conscious in 1977, it was with the Ansar Allah community, brothers who were the Nawapians now, but they were the Ansar Allah community, who Brother Dawood and Brother Summit on 42nd Street up in New York, they actually opened up my mind. And, they are from Dr. Malachi Z. York's student. So, they are that same legacy. So I guess in getting consciousness, whether it's from 1977, or in my case when I was 19, or when you, my brother, was passed a book down from your brother, it's about growing in consciousness. And sometimes some of the people who they won't consider leaders or well enough to teach you, they'd rather say, no, you have to go through the traditional church and or some other teachings that could have been watered and or dumbed down by those who may have been given it wrong. In most cases, they have anyway. And I'd like to also give a shout-out to your mother, Ms. Arlinda Garrett, while we're on the phone, because I do understand that that's where the knowledge came from. And, Brother Jamil, if you can give that genesis, because it's always beautiful for me to know that someone in the family, especially a matriarch or a patriarch, says, here, I'm going to give this to my son, my daughter, to allow them to bring it out into the community. What was that like, my brother, especially when it's going a generation up?
Basically, my mom was the type where if you asked her a question, she would tell you to look it up. If you wanted to know a definition to a word, she would tell you to look it up. So she instilled in me to read. That was all. She always told me that to hide the truth from black men, put it in a book. So from that point on, I decided I must read everything I get my hands on. And that's what she put in us. She put in us the idea of reading and wanting to read. And I think that's where she sparked it in me. And, she would never accept less of us. If we did our best, a C was okay. But if we didn't do our best, that B was not all right, because she knew we could get an A. So, and that's how we are now. To this day, I try to instill that in my kids. That's something, that's a seed that grows continuously.
And again, my brother, that's something when I hear brothers actually breaking down the sciences of the genesis or where it came from, it keeps not only me as a host grounded in knowing, because on Harambee Radio on a television network, we always discuss in detail about where you need to go seek knowledge. Knowledge itself is internal. However, you could use books. Life experiences really to uncover about who you really are. And I think when we're talking about metaphysics or what's going out there with those who may be deaf, dumb, and blind in groupthink, who are just believing everything they're taught, where they're not overstanding melanin, where they're not reaching into the third eye, where they're believing Obama's going to save them and tithing to the church is going to get them off on the red carpet, and in the afterlife they're going to be in this heavenly place where they are cherubs with wings and all of these illusions. And I'm only saying this to those people from any religion who believes anything that you're going to have to do is going to be predicated upon you making these perfectly made steps that man tells you to do. Then at the same time in another tongue they'll tell you, oh no, you can't listen to man because God is the Almighty and the Creator. I touch on that for this reason, because when you're dealing in the third eye, and I want you to probably take this up, Dwayne, because I know you're a juggernaut, as we all are. Where is it, and we could hit on religion for a minute, because in an hour, I know with you two brothers, we could build a whole nother mental pyramid here and keep it going. What is it about whether any spiritual walk, which people think it is, but religion isn't actually a spiritual walk? It's a training.
Indoctrination, yeah.
Exactly, an introduction to an indoctrination. Where is it that you think most people have gotten lost? Because this whole thing has gotten our people, especially when we talk about Christianity here, sometimes we get people going, oh, why you got to mess with my Jesus? And they so scared to even challenge what they was taught, even if it came from their great-grandmama who they love. But if they were taught wrong, what do you think you have as knowledge? I want you to step on that for a minute, my brother, and maybe open up the pathways from your own spirit on what that has or hasn't done for you.
Yeah, I think the most important thing that we as a people have lost is the importance of self-discovery. You know, I don't really feel like there's anything wrong with religion once you take the understanding of what purpose it has in your life. The core of religion used to be spirituality. Now the core of religion is routine, indoctrination, imprisonment, mental imprisonment. They tell you don't, like you said earlier, don't follow man, don't follow higher education, ridiculous things that that would lead you into the arena of thinking for yourself. Because self-thought is really the first thing that created the universe. That's the first thing that's going to create your path out of your own imprisonment.
Very well spoken, my brother. And I do believe and internalize when I have people, those who I have discussions with. I stay away from debate. When there's someone who wants to have a discussion about what they're taught, most people who fight against a truth or a possibility because they don't want that scab off the wound. If they've been healed in their mind by some preacher or some indoctrination or book that's made them feel better, that feeling is not going to go away because somebody goes, that's not real. Now they don't want to put on new medicine, anything mental that can help them have a knowledge of self. That scab is making it feel better, so the new skin that's going to replace the scab in their spirit is all they want. They don't want to have to open up a wound that's going to make them think about where they really came from. So, Brother Jamil, in touching into what your brother said, how we can tap into that, because once again, we can take this in any stream, but I wanted to stay on that for a minute because one of the things Brother Umar Abdullah Johnson said, is a very well-known psychologist. He says one of the biggest things black people do not have is organization. So when we have organizations or places where we do meet, and that's disorganized, not towards having us get knowledge of self, we get further into a black hole as a people. Now, individually, I could say me and my small circle of friends and communities like this show, we're doing all right in self-discovery. But what do you think about the lack of organization where maybe spirituality or sports or anything has taken our people down that dark road, my brother?
Well, again, I mean, people, we become prisoners of the moment. You know, we see something on TV and it's exciting. Football, sports, anything we find that we can grasp onto and we think that it's a way to pull us out of the hole, we latch onto it. Like you said, I'd rather put my faith in something outside that I can blame it on rather than blaming it on myself and not being able to motivate myself. You know, the first person I look at when I don't accomplish something is me. I don't look at anybody else or anything else that affects me on the outside. We become weak in that sense. We become weak in the sense of finding oneself. It's about what everybody else has. Let me also. Go ahead.
No, I wanted to also add to that before we jump to the next one, which is I think us as black people, where we lack in organization, really the foundation of any organization is trust and loyalty and certain qualities that we also lack as a people. Again, we mistrust each other inherently because of things that happened in our past and different generational memories that we haven't really shared yet. We don't have loyalty anymore. You know, things that used to be prevalent in our community aren't there anymore. And as long as these things aren't here, there's no way we can even organize in order into a larger structure.